Hey, and welcome back again to Words with Al. Yes, all right, guys. So, in this video, we are going to continue further into the last video, into truth finding. So, for you guys who are new, this channel is, it began really as a look into research development and our words and our knowledge. And then it continued on as it revealed knowledge that is forgotten, that is lost to us today. So, in this episode, we are going to revive the knowledge of our ancestors. We are going to look into their words, what they were telling us, and how we can find truth using the tools that they used. Okay, yes. So this whole episode will be really about the origin and purpose of philosophy. We will be looking at the real purpose of philosophy, the real purpose of logic, and why they were used the way they were once upon a time. Okay, and why that is not the case anymore. Why that knowledge is lost. Yes, that is what we will do. Okay, so the forgotten purpose of philosophy: finding truth at the root. Indeed. So, in the beginning, long, long ago, long, long time back ago, we were, we really wanted to know the truth of life, of who we are. You could say that that question, "Who am I?" began this whole journey into science. But but according to my findings, they found out who they were before they then ventured on to learn about math, physics, building, chemistry, biology, and so on and so forth. Okay, so apparently they wanted to know the truth of life first, and then they found out, and then they began learning about existence, Earth, animals, um, nature, um, rocks, trees, you name it, anything that we still know and use today. But that came later, and and they knew that we will lose this knowledge one day because they saw that this quest for more and more information will one day convolute the old knowledge. Just to give you an example, today we don't know how we built the pyramids, but once upon a time we knew. What happened? Well, some they forgot. The kids forgot. Probably a disaster, led them to spread, and then they lost that knowledge. Or just let's use a more modern one. None of us can make milk, or like we can milk the cow, and many of us don't know the art of how to make butter or cheese today, right? Because we just go and buy it in the store. So now we lost the knowledge. That is what happens, right? When it is not any more, when it is not needed anymore. Okay, but the truth of oneself was, or the truth of life, of now. Remember from the last video, the now has not moved, has not changed. Only we have moved in it. Only we have moved in now. The presence is unchanging, undying, and invariable. That means that the presence has not moved and is in fact timelessness itself. And we exist in this time, inside the presence. So time is only the measurement of matter and energy, the movement of that. So you could say that time is just the measurement of Earth orbiting the sun. But the truth is that um, if you remove all the mass and everything, then what remains is timelessness. Nothing moves. So that is what that means. Now I went to a lot of things here, but yes. But the point here was that they they lost that knowledge. They lost that knowledge, including who they were, the knowledge of who they were, but also how to find the answer. We lost it, which is why we are in the state of affairs that we find ourselves in. Yes. Okay. Truth, as that which does not change. So the whole thing obviously began around the Mediterranean Sea, but including also India and China and so on and so forth. But it really began around the Mediterranean Sea. That is where everything began. That is how it seems. The first scientific method was based on measuring what remains constant, the root principle of logic. Yes. So, as I said in the previous video, we will just use the reference of science to find out the truth. Okay? We only need to look at the constancy. What is constant? Okay? And that must be the truth. It's very simple. I know that might it sound maybe that I'm oversimplifying it, but it is truly simple. Okay. The loss of the path. Over century, philosophy turned into a maze of theories, perspective, and abstractions. The original goal, to trace back to the source, was buried under complexity. Contrast root-seeking logic with modern philosophical relativism. Yes, so this is what happened. So philosophy's aim was to find the truth. It was the art in how to discern truth. Okay, so that its aim was to find the source, the root. So let's take an example. What comes first, earth or the grass? Earth. What comes first, the sea or rain? The sea, right? Well, yeah, because it can't be rain all the time. So it has to be down there to evaporate and then become rain. Okay. So we're looking at what comes first. Okay. Now let's do this whole as the same principle. Let's use this on ourselves. That is what they did in the old days. If I can find something inside of me or in my human experience that does not change, then surely that must be the truth. And that is exactly what they found. But with time, this would be so convoluted and get so distorted by all these different theories because suddenly this branch of truth seeking was leading to, instead of truth, it began developing into theories and thoughts. So the art itself was to discern truth. Okay, so so I used philosophy. Remember from the last video, play with ideas to see ideas. Philo show. Philo, melut me fia. Lo me fia, lui me fia. Right? And then show. But you also find then the word philosoph, which means begin seeing. And why would you begin seeing? Because you're finding the truth. You're playing with ideas, playing with ideas, and then the last idea, the one that does not change, that does not move, must be the truth. Right. So this was not about arguments, right? But it later became, because suddenly we got nihilism, solipsism, uh, right? Plato has its own branch, Socrates, Aristotle, all of these guys, all of these thinkers. suddenly made just the whole purpose lost, unfortunately, because of the stacking of history and, well, their work made it worse because we just made a maze out of it. Okay, yes. So we will be reviving the ancient past, the way. So logic was not about argument, but about tracing any idea or phenomenon to its first cause or essence. Okay, so constancy, that which does not change, is the closest thing to the truth, right? And we also we find this method in the ancient authors as well: Heraclitus, Plato, Patanjali, and so on and so forth. But this also explains the rise of these enlightened beings and prophets during that time. We got Buddha, Jesus, some of the other ones, Zoroaster, Jainism. All of these came from, obviously, these people who used the method of philosophy to discern truth. Practical implications, yes. This is obviously when this is how we use this in ourselves. Okay. So, in order for you to find out what your being is, you must find out what does not change. Okay. So let's bring it up. Let's test it. What is in our experience as a man or a woman? A body, a mind, and spirit. Okay, these three. Well, we have talked about it before, but we will go through it again. So we have the mind. Its abilities is to simulate, to analyze, to think, to measure, to calculate. Okay, very very many skills. What is the abilities of the body? To move, to sense, to see, to smell, to touch, to hear. Okay, but what is the ability of spirit? And if you recall, goosebumps. Goosebumps. Okay. So apparently, spirit can be found or detected through goosebumps. So every time you get goosebumps, you are recognizing truth, love, beauty, God, death. Why? Because these are unchanging. So no feeling, no thought. No, no. This is not about feeling or thoughts. This is about something else. This is about the sense of sense. Sense of sense. If anything passes, it is not that. Right? So what in your experience does not pass? Your sense of sense. Yes, it only sometimes, I mean, every day it is gone during sleep. But even then, it's not entirely gone because you dream and you know that you dream. So even then, the sense of sense is not entirely turned off. And even if you do not dream, you will still know how you slept. So that means that the sense of sense is never turned off. Okay. So that is the closest thing you get to the truth of your being and the truth of anything, the sense of sense. Okay. Logic begins with nothing. Yes, it does. First principle of logic: start at the source. Before we explore anything, we must ask what is the foundation of everything. And if you are not familiar with it, you can do please check out The Science of Nothing do look at some scientific documentaries about nothing because they are very interesting. Nothing is the most underrated and misunderstood phenomena in existence. And you will come to see why. Because nothing is not nothing. Yes. Yes, unfortunately, nothing. Well, not unfortunately, because that would mean that we wouldn't exist. Fortunately, nothing is not nothing. Nothing is much, much more. Okay. Logic leads us to the most overlooked truth. Nothing is the beginning of all things. But what is nothing, indeed? So, nothing is not emptiness. Okay. Um, it's not a void. Well, it is a void, but not an empty one. It is a no thing. Okay. This is very a bit difficult to understand. It's not a thing. It's not nothing. It's a no thing. Let me give an example. A flame. When you look at a flame, it is not a form. It has no form. Yet is it not. Yet it is not formless either. That is what this means. So we're now looking at no thing. It's no matter nor energy. And we will see what this now is, because this is unbelievable. And it should not be believed. You do not need to believe anything that I say. You should only feel it, sense the sense of it. Okay, sense the sense of what I am saying, if it is true. Now, it is not energy, and it is not matter, not energy, but what makes their existence possible. Indeed, it is. Okay, it is pretty much like that flame. It has no form, yet it is not nothing. Okay, so that is what is nothing that came before everything is. But there is more. This no thing, this no thing is the medium of everything. Okay, everything arises because of this no thing, and this no thing. I'm sorry, it sounds so weird. I know. Um, it is the spark. It is the spark. It is the first light, the unchanging. That's what it is. And it is not only spark, but it is also space. So it is space and spark, both simultaneously. In nothing, the spark of life. Within this nothingness, we find the pulse of existence, the beat of the heartbeat in all things. Okay? So this is not a joke. I hope you understand that this is not a joke. We are looking at the truth of life, how to discern truth. We found out that truth must be constant, it must be forever. And we found out that everything that changes or dies cannot be the truth. Ergo, our bodies and minds and thoughts, our possessions, everything here is not the truth, because we will all die and this will all pass. But something here remains, and that is the spark that we all are, but we do not know it. We have forgotten it. We have no knowledge of who we are. So now we are our names, our identities, our bank accounts, our degrees, and all these other things that really don't matter in the end. The paradox of origin. Nothing is not absence of life, but it is womb. It is womb. So this no thing, this womb and spark. Okay? These two are making love, the spark in this womb, just like we are, right? And that is where this truth is, was, and forever will be. So I it is the stillness that gives rise to motion, the formless that give rise to form. To find the truth of all life, we must trace all things to their source. So thank you for this little journey, this one of a kind journey, where we are looking into the ancient logic with our modern knowledge, and we're bringing ourselves back to the roots. So thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day or evening, wherever you are. And we will continue on because there is much, much more to say and do and discover, and why this is the fact. Why now, now is forever, and why you are it. You are now. You are this presence. You are this spark. You are this womb through which we all came from. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. All right. Till next time.